wondered how some organizations consistently nail the perfect talent fit? Imagine a platform that decodes personality with unmatched precision, boosting success rates by 85%. Welcome to another exciting episode of Follow Startups. I'm your host, Ankita Pahwa, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Shilpa Datar, the founder and director of Swayam Analytics and an award winning innovator. After years of research and a quest to develop a psychometric tool tailored to the Indian context, Shilpa created Swayam, a platform for accurate and culturally relevant assessments. So let's dive in and hear directly from Shilpa about the impact of Swayam. Hi Shilpa ma'am, welcome to Follow Startups.
Hi, Ankita. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
You're most welcome. So ma'am, before we dive into Swayam Analytics, could you share a bit about your background and at what point in your career you decided to embark on this venture?
In the year 97, 98 or so, around that time, my child was identified as being dyslexic. And, the school wanted us to move them to a special needs school. And as parents, we refused. And, because I wanted to understand what this entire dyslexia was about, please remember that Google was not even there at that time, or even if it was a very rudimentary thing. Absolutely no information about learning disability, dyslexia, and all that. So I started working in a special needs school to understand what this was all about. And that's where I realized that all the tests that were being used were all foreign tests, and none of them were applicable or relevant to an Indian audience. And they were forced to use these foreign tests because there weren't any Indian, and very unfairly they were categorizing children as being learning disabled, dyslexic, so on and so forth, and putting them into special needs schools. And the minute a child goes into a special needs school, they don't have access to a good education or a profession even today in India. And I refused, I didn't want my child to go through that. So they continued in a regular school, and I started this entire work. I went on to do my master's in psychology, and by then I was very disillusioned with the Western models. Especially if you look at Jung and Freud, they say that, they look at clinical population, and then they say that if these are the people with mental health issues, then absence of this is what normal people are. And I take serious exception to that, because absence of one issue doesn't make me normal. I might not be at all. I might have multiple other issues. So the right way, according to me, the right approach is to study people who are in the normal or in the regular range, and then see what the deviations are, and then recalibrate the whole thing. So I started looking around to see what else I could do and develop tests that were globally applicable. Because if you look at psychology today, it's very fragmented. You have Jung, you have Freud, you have Gestalt, you have Skinner, you have multiple theories and all, and they don't give you a complete understanding of a person from birth to death. And I felt that, if you look at physics, chemistry, mathematics, they are all universal laws. The laws of physics doesn't change whether you're in India, Japan, France, or wherever else in the world. And I felt that kind of universality of applicability worldwide should be brought into the domain of psychology. And when I started looking around, I realized that, the Indian knowledge systems had a lot to offer. So they talk to you about, manas, behavior, mind, personality, and all that continuously in all the, Vedic texts, the Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and all that. So went on and I studied these texts. I've studied the Vedas, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Ayurveda, yoga, Sankhyan philosophy. And then I realized that, the entire thing could be applicable to us. So I imported all this into the domain of psychology. And then I did develop these tests. And this was my PhD work at Mysore University. So I developed these tests, and then 18 plus publications, paper publications in international journals. The tests are being used in multiple countries for research.
Wow.
In fact, in the US, they've used our test, and they've been able to show that it's capable of identifying people who are at risk of committing economic fraud. And that was a huge feather in the cap for us. And they went on to publish this paper. And in Germany, in integrative medicine universities, in India, in multiple, very well-renowned universities and all that. And, that's how this whole thing came. And I didn't want it to stay in a textbook. I wanted it to be for people, to be used by people, and that's how the company started.
Thank
In the
you
meanwhile, my
so
child
much.
graduated from law school. And, that was a big validation for me that I was on the right track. And this also reinstated my belief that if I can do this for one child, support them into overcoming certain of their challenges, I could do that for a million other children. And that was the entire reason that's why I'm started.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Shilpa ma'am. That's so inspiring. Now, I'm really curious to understand more about how this assessment platform works. So, tell us what specific attributes, traits, and aspects does it measure to evaluate someone's personality?
So we assess people on their physiological, psychological, and ethical aspects. In fact, we are the only psychometric platform in the world to assess people on all these three components. And it's all in multiple choice questionnaire format, and it's very easy for a child, for a person to fill it up. It's standardized at the fifth standard government school child can answer. So it's that simple to understand. And we assess 189 traits that run the entire gamut of human behavior, from the best to the not so best maybe. uh, that's how we do it, and we do both a trait as well as a type. Trait and type, both kind of analysis we do. What type of personality you are and what are your traits, both is done. So in the type version we have 10 into 10 combinations, permutations and combinations, which is a very wide variety. And then in the traits, again, like I mentioned, we have 189 traits that we assess all people. We work with both students as well as corporates. And students, we work with them from the 7th, 8th grade onwards.
Interesting. Okay. So, what languages are these tests available in?
Yeah, it's available in English, Kannada, and Hindi as of now, because Kannada is my, I'm a Kannadiga, I'm from Karnataka. And of course, I wanted that in that language. And English, of course, it's a universal language. And we added Hindi because there are a lot of Hindi speaking pockets in India. So I felt that that would be great. And since we've built our own platform, we have, 1 patent, 8 copyrights, and 3 trademarks. Many of them have been granted, and some of them are in the pending stage. So we are a very IP heavy company.
Okay, so ma'am, I have one very simple question. Tell us what
Sure.
sets Swayam apart from other psychometric tools that are, currently available in the Indian market.
Sure. First is that we are based on the Vedic knowledge systems. We are an
Hmm.
Indic psychology test. Second is that we are standardized for an Indian population while we are applicable to people across the world. Third is that this is based on more than 12 years of research that I myself did, and I got my PhD based on this one. And fourth is that we assess people on their physiological, psychological, and ethical aspects of behavior. And fifth is that we have 18 plus paper publications that is supporting all these assessments.
All right. So ma'am, you said that you cater to both students and organizations. Give me more. Tell us more about your target audience and, what kind of organizations do you serve to?
Yeah. For students, we work with them at the high school grades, 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th. We do a behavioral challenge assessment and tell them what kind of, resource, and we give them resources to overcome their challenges as well. 10th, 11th, and 12th, we do a career guidance for them. And for the undergrad, postgrad students, we do a strength and weakness analysis, and we tell them how to overcome their weakness also. This is so that, they can develop their personality before they sit for their recruitment interviews and all that. And they know their strengths, where they should apply to get selected for a job. And we work with corporates where we help them with recruitment, talent acquisition and recruitment. We're able to identify the culture, value, fit of an individual, of a candidate with that of the corporate. We're also partnered with Government of Karnataka on their Skill Connect platform, where we do the psychometric assessment for job seekers.
Ma'am, we'd love to hear some examples or case studies of how organizations have seen tangible benefits from using Swayam Analytics, this assessment test, especially in their hiring processes or other applications.
Yeah. So the thing is that most candidates come with very well polished resumes, and they would have gone to resume writers, polished up their resume. They go to these coaching classes. They learn how to speak very well, and then they come, and then they are clear in the interview round, right? But then after they clear the interview round, once they're in the organization, they get the offer letter, they join the organization, and then maybe about 2 to 3 months later, the company realizes that this is a bad fit. They don't want this kind of a person. Maybe they need somebody who's an extrovert, maybe they need somebody with a better culture value fit. It could be a host of different reasons. And then it becomes very difficult for the company to let go of the person, give them their papers. And the other thing is that, there's a lot of dissonance in the team. The minute a person comes in, everybody is interacting with them. This person is interacting. They bring their own flavor. And if it's a bad hire, if it's a bad apple hire, then it's even more, in bad shape. And the company will take at least, once they ask the person is in the company for 2 to 3 months before they realize that it's a bad hire. Then it takes, once they give them the marching orders, then it takes at least another 4 to 6 months for them to hire. So 6 plus 3, 9 to 10 months, practically 1 year is gone for a company with one bad hire. And that into the number of people that they hire every year. It's a huge number. So we are able to help them to identify if the candidate is even the right fit for them. And then based on that, they bring them to the interview stage. They don't even bring them to the interview stage otherwise. And we're able to reduce their rate of attrition. We're able to reduce the cost that is associated with hiring in every which way. And then the time taken by the HR person to pass through all these numerous resumes, shortlist all these candidates, we are able to do all that in our system and give it to you in a much faster and a much more economical manner.
So, ma'am, beyond enhancing employee efficiency and optimizing the entire hiring process, have you discovered any unique or unexpected use cases of your platform?
Oh yeah. For the students, we realized the undergraduate, postgraduate one, what I mentioned to you earlier. While we gave it to them to, help them understand themselves, to prepare themselves for, identifying what kind of jobs they should apply for and, know their strengths and all that stuff. We realized that there were some students who were using it to write very good statement of purpose essays, because when they are going abroad for their higher education, they need to write very cohesive statement of purpose essays, SOPs, as to who they are, why they are writing something, why they are applying to this university, what is it that makes them apply, what is it that makes them a good candidate to get into that course, and so on and so forth. So these students use this knowledge about themselves to write very good stories, a standard of statement of purpose essay, to communicate this to the admissions team in the university. So we were able to get these students. They got through into very hi-fi universities in the US. Again, I can't mention names. I can tell you privately, but not on,
Lovely.
Yeah. So they got into some fantastic universities, and we realized that there were multiple ways that they could use it. The students could use it. That was a huge
Great.
thing.
So, ma'am, may I ask how many assessments has Swayam conducted to date, and what has been the accuracy rate?
Okay, our accuracy, we promise an 80% to 85% accuracy guaranteed in our platform. But most of our clients come back and tell us it's about 95 to 98% accurate.
Wow.
Yeah, that is if they've answered honestly. And we also identify if the person has answered the test honestly or not in the report itself, and we give that to the individual, so they know whether they've answered honestly or not. At least the companies know that. Schools also know that when we speak to the principal and all that, they know how many people have taken the test seriously, not seriously, and all that. And based on this one criteria, so many people, so many candidates get rejected from even coming to the interview stage. And we have completed about 25,000 assessments as of date. And yeah. So, and we have already signed up for another 1.5 lakh assessments for this year.
That's
so
amazing.
very
That's
happy with that.
remarkable. So, ma'am, and now as we stand in the present, tell us, where would you position Swayam Analytics in terms of its current stage of development?
I think we are, in early traction.
Okay.
And slowly we want to get into the growth stage now.
So, ma'am, where are most of your customers based out of? Are you primarily focused? Of course, you are primarily focused on the Indian market, or do you have, or does Swayam have a global presence as well?
We are primarily present in the Indian market, but we are now slowly looking at how we can get into the foreign markets, especially US, Europe, and Australia, because we realize that there's a big market there for us as well, and also Southeast Asia.
Okay. And where is your office located? Where is the heart of Swayam?
Bangalore.
Bangalore. Bangalore it is.
Yeah. I'm a Bangalore girl, Bangalore person, not a girl anymore, but Bangalore person. Kannadiga
Okay.
heart.
Ma'am, so let's touch upon your revenue model a little bit. So tell us, how does Swayam sustain itself financially, and what pricing models do you have in place?
Yeah, so we price per test or per person per login. That is, so each test is composed of multiple tests. Each login, I mean, is composed of multiple tests. For the students, we have two. For the corporates, the growth reports and all that, we have three tests to a login. So each login, we consider it as one, one login, and that's how we price it. For the students, it's on the lower level, and for the grow and the profilers, that is, the recruitment tests are also on the lower level. And the growth reports are slightly more pricier because we bring a lot more, knowledge, insights, and everything to those reports. And it's completely volume based. We also work with B2C. We have a very small area of B2C only on the website, but we're principally a B2B organization, and we work on volumes.
Okay. So, ma'am, you definitely seem to be on a very progressive and robust growth trajectory. So, tell us a bit about the supporters, about your investors, to tell us how much capital have you managed to raise so far, and who are your investors in this journey?
So we have raised only a very small seed fund from the Startup India Seed Fund. This is through JSS Step Noida. We've also been supported by, incubated by them, as well as with Deshpande Startups. And I was also part of Wadhwani Foundation for a brief period of time in one of their programs. Other than that, we have not raised any funds so far. Yeah.
And are you planning to raise further?
It depends if the investor is just for the sake of funds not interested. If there's something else that the investor can offer, like market connects or opening up certain markets to us, then we will consider. Just for the sake of funds doesn't make sense to us.
I usually ask this question towards the end, but keeping in mind that we will be promoting this video, this conversation to large enterprises, to a lot of investors and a broader startup ecosystem. Tell us, what exactly are you looking for, and is there anything specific that you want to put down that can help you find any external assistance you are looking for besides the investment? Like you said, you're not just looking for funds. So what else?
We are looking for people to help us with marketing, sales, and market connects. So if any investor is good at that, then we will, happy to interact with them. But pure funds, not interested. But that's a major concern because product is fantastic. I think we have nailed that quite well. And
Yes.
our customers love our product. Once they go through it, they just love it. So I think it's sales, market connects, and marketing and positioning is where we lack. I don't want to say lack. I think we can say that's where we want support.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, ma'am, now I'd
Yeah.
love to learn more about the people who made it all happen. So, could you introduce us to the core team behind Swayam? Like, who are your co-founders and key team members, and what roles do they play?
So there's me, and then the two co-founders are my children, in fact. My son, who's an advocate, who's a litigation advocate, and he has a good network. So he's helping us quite a bit with marketing, And then my daughter, she's also a solicitor. She lives abroad, and she helps us a lot with legal work, compliance, and all that sort of a thing. And also vets all our, documents and agreements that we need to sign, all that kind of thing. And she also looks at marketing, digital
Okay.
marketing a little bit. She helps us. And then we have Pratap, who's our tech person. He's great. He's the one who's looking after the entire tech and everything. Ganashri is our administrator, and she looks after the entire running of the show at Swayam. Varsha is our psychologist, and then we have Padma and Akriti, who are our senior psychologists. And then we have Anish, who helps us with our videos and posting it and all that things on Swayam.
So, ma'am, all in all, what's the total team strength as of now?
So we are about 8, 9 of us now.
Okay. And are you currently hiring for any positions?
Sales is always, we're ready to hire for sales if they're good. Yeah,
Okay, well, if anybody is listening and is interested in joining Swayam, a groundbreaking
absolutely.
platform, please apply.
Yeah,
So, ma'am,
yeah.
looking ahead to the next 2 quarters, what upcoming features or expansions can users expect on the Swayam platform?
So we're looking to add maybe a chat GPT kind of a thing where we can bring in all the universities, colleges, and all the courses that they're offering, the cutoff scores, and whatever criteria they have. We want to bring that into the Swayam dashboard. So that's something that we are seriously looking at. But we don't know how to do it, so we are working out on those things, speaking to a lot of IT guys and figuring that out. That's something that we want.
So, ma'am, I understand that developing Swayam's methodologies was backed by over 12 years of rigorous research. So, can you share with us some of the key findings from this extensive research and how they contributed to the evolution of Swayam analytics?
Sure. So the thing is that I worked on the five element theory, right? There are five elements that the entire world is composed of, and Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Up, and Prithvi. Which loosely translated, it means ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So understanding that it was very abstract initially, that these combine with each other, and then the being is formed, and the whole world is formed, and everything. But then as I started studying it, it made so much more sense to me, as I went forward, because you can see those characteristics, like a person who's dominant in air and ether. They have the air and ether lend certain characteristics to the individual, which exhibit themselves as their personality, which is very unique. And that's how you can see how each of us are unique. Even though both of us could be air and ether dominant, we still have certain characteristics, which is because of our DNA, because of our maternal paternal characteristics that we inherit, and so on and so forth. So there's always this mixture of things that come in from somewhere or the other, maybe even your grandparents and all that, which make sure that even though we both are air and ether dominant, we're not the same. So it was fascinating for me to understand that. And the second thing is that how the body and the mind is so well interconnected. you know we have all heard of psychosomatic diseases, right? You are upset about something, it shows on you, as it could be diabetes, it could be BP, and so on. But we only look at it from the disease perspective. If it can cause disease, in states of when you're upset, imagine how much of interaction is going on when you're normal, normal in the sense when you're not under stress or something. So it's constantly interacting with each other, but we are not even aware of that. Yeah. So, and that's something that I also discovered in my study, and I've been able to bring that into the tests at Swayam, and we're able to tell you, if you're this kind of a type, if you're this kind of a personality, this is exactly how you'll behave, this is exactly what is the kind of profession you need to get into. And for employers, it translates into whether they'll be able to do that kind of job or not.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And on that note, let's move on to a quick rapid fire round. So I've prepared a couple of questions
Sure.
for you. Are you ready?
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
So, question number one, a book or a podcast that you would like to recommend, that has greatly influenced your career journey in some or the other way.
A book is the Sankhyan philosophy that I read. Uh, that inspired me. That was one of the first Vedic knowledge books that I read.
Wow.
Uh, you know, yeah, and that's the foundation for both yoga and Ayurveda, by the way. And
Hmm.
I think that's also the foundation of my entire studies and everything that went forward.
I think I love that answer. I love that answer. So, question two,
Yeah.
a productivity tool or app that you find most helpful in your daily tasks.
So my thing is that I have very good concentration. You know, um, so if I'm doing something, then even if there's an atom bomb next to me, it doesn't bother me. So I've never really used any productivity tool or app or anything. And
Wow.
in fact, both my kids are very jealous of this one attribute. So I get into it and I'm just in. I don't need anything to, help me improve my concentration, productivity. I have never needed that. In fact, that
Amazing.
comes to my detriment because the kids say something, or and in the office somebody is saying something. I just say yeah, 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 and I tell them yeah, and I'm continuing doing my work. At the end of it, I don't know what they've asked me, and then I have to go back and say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you said. Please tell me.
Now I've started to envy it too. I'm team your kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question three, ma'am, what has been the most rewarding feedback that you have, got from any of your user?
This test, the report is like a mirror to my mind.
Wow.
Yeah, I think about 80-90% of the people who take our test, they tell me that. And that really, puts a smile on my face, because, that you can't beat that, right? In fact, I have students who come and tell me, ma'am, please don't tell my mom I'm like this. I don't want her to know. But this is like a mirror to my mind. I
Amazing.
feel very happy when they say that.
Okay, question number four. What is your dream collaboration?
Partnering with all the educational institutions in the world, because they find the value that we do. They appreciate that.
Okay, last but not the least, what is your one piece of advice for the newcomers in psychometrics?
Yeah, I think they should focus on learning and research and understand psychometry for what it is, because most people, they don't understand what psychometry is at all. I used to
Okay.
teach psychometry in a college in Bangalore.
Oh,
I have those students still reaching out to me and say, we never had a teacher like you. We're so happy that you taught us. I can understand test construction because of you. On Guru Purnima Day and all that, they keep messaging me, that
that's so sweet.
really, I'm very thrilled about that. Yeah.
So sweet. Okay, ma'am, one last question. How are you? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, as you can see, and I'm very happy to be here with you,
Thank you so
Ankita.
much. I hope this was worthy of your time and
Oh,
all
come
the.
on. Absolutely. I'm honored that you think that I'm worthy of being interviewed. So thank you very much for that.
You very much are. Thank you so much, ma'am, and all the very best.
Thank
But
you.
before I let you go, I have one last question. I know I'm, constantly saying this that I have one last question, but this is
No
the final
problem. No
one.
problem.
So I want
Yeah.
you to make a wish for your startup that you hope comes true in the near future, and I want you to make that wish out loud.
That we are able to, my wish is that we are able to tie up with at least 50 educational institutions or chains, school chains in India in the next 1 year, and impact the students like how we want to, impact. I think that would be the biggest dream come true for me. To have students know who they are and realize their full potential and go after it would be the biggest, takeaway for me from this life.
Lovely. Here's to Swayam Analytics redefining how we understand and develop talent. All the very best, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ankita. It's been lovely talking to you.
Likewise. So, if you'd like to stay updated with the latest developments and business insights at Swayam Analytics, you can follow their channel on follow.us/startups. And to feature your startup, you can reach out to me on ankita.pahwa@follow.us. We would love to hear your story. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next episode.